Welcome to Monograph Matters. I'm talking today with Jamie Carroll, David Yeager, and Robert Crosnoe, authors of the SRCD Monograph on Mindset by Context, Schools, Classrooms, and Unequal Translation of Expectations into Math Achievement. This discussion focuses on the tricks for studying classroom stereotyping. So what are the tricks for studying classroom stereotyping?
Yeah, one of the critical elements is trying to understand how students feel within their context, but also how intersectional identity groups of students feel within their contexts. So whether I, as a female student from either a low or high SES family, experience the classroom may be different from a boy in a low or high SES family, or a girl from a underrepresented minority group, or a boy from an underrepresented minority group. And so in trying to understand the classroom stereotyping, we focused on the intersectional identity groups within a classroom, linking students to their teachers and trying to understand how our students who are low SES girls, high SES girls, low SES boys, and high SES boys experiencing this classroom environment differently, and how does this experience relate to what's going on in their educational opportunities. And this intersectionality is critical because stereotypes are not uniform across groups. And so when we think about how girls might be perceived of in schools and how boys might be perceived of in their math abilities, the general stereotype is that boys are more innately gifted in math, and girls have to kind of work harder in school to achieve. But that differs according to the student's background and whether they come from an environment or from a family that people believe will be successful and have these innate abilities. And so then these stereotypes get kind of flipped on their head, especially when we think about when it comes to trying hard in school, and whether trying hard in school is viewed of as kind of girly or viewed of as kind of feminine. And maybe boys don't feel like they can exert the effort that they need to be successful because they might not be achieving well or getting the same peer support as the girls might be doing.
Yeah, so I think that this rich sociological theory of identities existing in a context, going back to classic work from Irving Goffman and other theorists, needed a home in our empirical approach. And in parallel, I'd been working with Greg Walton and the College Transition Collaborative team on a new analysis method we call local identity groups. And we contrast the local identity group method to what you could call a canonical identity group method. So in a canonical identity group method, you might say, well, we expect low SES girls, for instance, to have relatively similar psychologies, right? In the local identity group method, you say, well, we're going to define gender by SES groups separately for every single classroom. So there would be 4 groups for every classroom. And if there were, say, 500 classrooms, then you'd have 2,000 groups. And then you basically estimate an expectations effect, so a link between expectations and progress, separately for each group within each teacher. And what that allows you to do is to model the variation in the expectations effects, not just across 4 groups, but across identities by context. And so it's a real advance, and we want to propose that future investigators who don't just want to say, kind of the implicit assumption in a lot of subgrouping analysis is that all boys are from underrepresented groups think the same, right? And so they're just going to be a subgroup. We're going to analyze them as a subgroup, and so on and so forth. That's maybe not going to capture a lot of the nuance that you want to with mindset by context, whereas this local identity group analysis method does allow us to capture that.
Read more about this topic in the monograph issue, Mindset by Context, Schools, Classrooms and the Unequal Translation of Expectations into Math Achievement by Carroll, Yeager, Temple et al. If you like this video, consider watching our Monograph Matters playlist. For additional resources related to these and other issues of the monographs of the Society for Research in Child Development, please visit monographmatters.srcd.org.